What if I told you that the key to unlocking your financial reality isn't found in your waking hours, but in the profound, untapped silence of your sleep? Most people believe prosperity is built purely on conscious effort, daytime affirmations, and relentless hustle. Yet they completely ignore the most powerful and receptive 8 hours of their entire day. There is a deep-seated secret about how wealth is truly magnetized, and it operates precisely when your conscious guard is down. This isn't about working harder. It's about accessing the core operating system of your mind at the exact moment it's most open to new instructions. What you allow into your mind as you drift off doesn't just pass by. It is actively programming the very foundation of your financial future. By the end of this message, you will fundamentally understand why every conscious attempt you've made to attract abundance may have failed. It is not your fault. You have been trying to fix a deep-seated software issue using only the keyboard. I will show you precisely how your subconscious mind processes information during sleep, a vulnerable, highly suggestible state where your deepest limiting beliefs about money were first installed, often in childhood. More importantly, you will learn how specific, targeted messages delivered in the correct format can systematically dismantle those old toxic programs. We are not talking about wishful thinking. We are talking about a targeted neurological reprogramming that bypasses the critical filter that has kept you stuck in a loop of financial scarcity. This isn't just theory, it is a precise protocol. You will receive the exact method to activate a mental state that is deeply receptive to prosperity, using nothing but the stillness of your night. I will also explain the critical, often overlooked psychological principle of why strategic silence about your progress is non-negotiable. You will finally understand how sharing your intentions prematurely is the fastest way to sabotage your own results, and how keeping this process private acts as a necessary incubator for materialization. I have seen this method transform lives, not through magic, but through a deep, practical understanding of neuroplasticity and subconscious mechanics. This is the knowledge that separates those who merely wish from those who achieve. You will walk away from this, not just with information, but with a practical, step-by-step technique you can apply starting tonight. This is the moment where the agonizing cycle of trying and failing can finally break. You have felt that frustration, that deep knowing that you are capable of more, only to feel an invisible wall blocking your every move. You followed all the public advice, the vision boards, the gratitude journals, only to end up in the exact same place year after year. This is the missing piece. If you have ever felt that invisible resistance, that sense that you are somehow your own worst financial enemy, stay with me until the very end. This conversation changes the programming. Most people spend their entire lives fighting a battle they cannot win, armed with the wrong weapons. You have been diligently trying to attract prosperity through conscious, brute force effort. You wake up and force yourself through repetitive affirmations, trying to convince your reflection that you are wealthy. You attempt 5-minute visualizations, struggling to conjure feelings of abundance, while the background noise of your mind screams about impending bills and past failures. You practice gratitude mechanically, writing lists of things you are thankful for, yet feeling the persistent, cold grip of anxiety in your chest. The core problem is this: you are trying to negotiate with a fortress using only a megaphone, while the real decisions are being made deep inside in a bunker you can't see. The devastating truth is that 95% of your life, your reactions, your decisions, and especially your financial reality, is governed not by your conscious wishes, but by your subconscious programming. This programming was installed without your permission, mostly in the first 7 years of your life. Every time you heard, "Money doesn't grow on trees," "Rich people are greedy," or "We can't afford that," it wasn't just a phrase, it was a command, etched directly into your operating system. So, while your conscious 5% mind desperately wants abundance, your 95% subconscious mind has been meticulously trained to associate wealth with guilt, danger, unworthiness, or even the fear of being abandoned by your tribe. This creates a brutal internal civil war. Consciously, you apply for the better job or try to start the business. But subconsciously, your programming activates the emergency brake. You procrastinate on the application until the deadline passes. You suddenly feel too tired to make the crucial phone call. You find yourself inexplicably drawn to investments that fail or partners who drain your resources. This isn't a character flaw. It is a program running perfectly. Your subconscious is protecting you from what it was taught is dangerous wealth. It is actively sabotaging every opportunity for abundance because it believes, based on its old data, that prosperity will lead to pain or isolation. Furthermore, there is a fatal error that almost everyone makes, which guarantees this cycle of frustration continues. You get a small flicker of hope, a new idea, or the first tiny sign of progress, and your first instinct is to share it. You tell your friends, your family, or you post about it. In that moment, the social validation you receive, the likes, the congratulations, releases a premature hit of dopamine. Your brain interprets this social reward as having already achieved the goal. The internal drive, the psychic tension required to push the goal from the ether into reality, simply evaporates. This is why so many people start strong and then mysteriously stop, their motivation vanishing. You have inadvertently burned the fuel before the journey even began, leaving you stuck, frustrated, and believing that once again, it just didn't work for me. So, how do we bypass this internal guard, this critical filter that automatically sabotages our conscious desires for wealth? The answer lies not in confrontation, but in timing. The solution is found in the specific window of time when that vigilant guard leaves his post. This occurs during the transition from wakefulness to sleep, as your brainwaves shift from the alert beta state down through relaxed alpha and into the profound frequency of theta. This is not mere drowsiness. It is a documented state of hypersuggestibility. It is the precise brainwave state utilized in deep hypnosis, a fertile, dreamlike realm where the barrier between the conscious and subconscious mind effectively dissolves. This is the moment where the fortress of your old programming becomes undefended, vulnerable to new information. Think of your mind as a protected garden. During the day, a vigilant gatekeeper, your critical faculty, stands guard. When you try to plant a new seed of belief like, "I am wealthy," the guard stops you. He analyzes the seed, compares it to the barren garden inside, and rejects it, saying, "That is not true. We are a garden of scarcity." But as you drift into sleep, in that theta state, the gatekeeper abandons his post. The gate swings wide open. The practical action, therefore, is to deliver specific messages of prosperity during this window, typically the first 1 to 2 hours of sleep. You are no longer throwing seeds at a locked gate. You are walking directly into the fertile soil and planting them. Your subconscious doesn't sleep. It just stops arguing. It simply accepts these new instructions as undeniable fact. Once you have access to this open subconscious field, you cannot speak to it in the language of your conscious mind. The subconscious is profoundly literal. It is a servant that takes every command at face value. It does not understand negation, nuance, or sarcasm. If you feed it a command like, "I don't want to be in debt anymore," the only concepts it registers are debt and anymore. You are reinforcing the very thing you seek to escape. Similarly, phrases of longing like, "I want to be rich," or "I wish I had abundance," are disastrous. The subconscious literalizes the feeling of wanting or wishing. It perfectly manifests more wanting, more longing, more lack. It doesn't understand your intention. It only executes your direct command. The only language this operating system understands is the language of present tense affirmative command. You must speak to it as if the reality you desire is already fact. Your audio messages must be structured as clear, imperative declarations. You are a magnet for money. You receive abundance with ease and gratitude. You deserve total prosperity. Wealth flows to you from expected and unexpected sources. Treat it exactly as you would instruct a 3-year-old child. If you tell a child, "Don't think about the red balloon," the only image they can possibly create in their mind is a red balloon. You must give it the positive alternative. Instead of "Don't be poor," the command must be, "You are wealthy." The subconscious doesn't need metaphors or complex logic, it requires absolute certainty. This brings us to the mechanism of consolidation, which is where most people fail. They try this method for 1 or 2 nights, feel a slight shift or perhaps feel nothing at all, and then quit, declaring that it didn't work. This is like planting a seed and demanding a full-grown tree by morning. A single night of listening may plant that new seed of belief, but it is fragile. Your old, toxic programming is a dense forest of established neural pathways cultivated over decades. That old forest will choke out the new seedling if it is not protected and nurtured. True, lasting change requires repetition. Neurological studies like those from Dr. Bruce Lipton show that it takes a minimum of 21 to 66 consecutive nights of repetition to solidify a new belief into an automatic default neural pattern. You must think of this process exactly like forging a new body in the gym. 1 single push-up does not build a muscle. 10 push-ups do not transform a physique. But 100 push-ups, performed every single day for a month, will create undeniable, visible change. Your brain operates on the exact same principle of progressive overload and adaptation. Therefore, the practical action is an unwavering commitment. You must apply this technique for 30 consecutive nights without interruption. You must do it even when you don't feel like it. You must do it especially when your old mind screams that it's pointless. This is not an event. It is the silent, steady accumulation of a new reality. If this commitment to deep change makes sense to you, pause for a moment and comment below. I choose consistency. Now we must address the most crucial component of this entire process, the one element that determines whether the planted seed takes root or withers, the principle of strategic silence. This is the part that almost everyone, in their excitement, gets wrong. When you embark on a new path of transformation, or when you set a powerful intention, your ego craves validation. You want to share your new plan. What happens when you do? The moment you tell someone, "I'm starting this new technique to reprogram my mind for wealth," and they respond, "Wow, that's amazing," your brain releases a flood of dopamine. This social validation chemically tricks your brain into feeling that the goal has already been accomplished. The psychic energy, the internal tension required to manifest that goal, is immediately discharged. You have satisfied your ego, but starved the subconscious drive needed to do the real, unseen work. The practical action here is absolute and non-negotiable. You must not speak of this process to anyone. You do not tell your spouse, your best friend, or your mentor. Furthermore, you must not speak of the first results. Those small initial signs of alignment, like finding money on the street, receiving an unexpected discount, or getting a sudden creative idea. Think of your new, abundant reality as a fragile seedling in a dark, pressurized chamber. It needs the silence and the darkness to build its foundational roots. If you constantly open the chamber to show people, "Look, it's sprouting," you change the entire environment, expose the delicate root system to harsh light, and kill the process. You must guard this flame. Keep the door closed until that tiny spark has, through your silent consistency, grown into an undeniable self-sustaining bonfire. This leads us to a profound reframing of what prosperity truly is. Most people approach wealth as something external that must be acquired, chased, or built from scratch. This belief itself is a product of scarcity programming. The truth is that abundance is your natural state. It is the default setting of the universe. Prosperity is not something you get, it is something you allow. You are not building it, you are revealing it by removing the layers of fear, guilt, and unworthiness that are currently suffocating it. You already are abundant. You have just been taught to identify with the dam rather than the river. Your entire life, you have been focused on forcing more water into a system that is fundamentally blocked. Imagine a powerful river, brimming with water that has been dammed up with heavy stones. These stones are your inherited beliefs. I am not good enough. Wanting money is selfish. I have to suffer to be worthy. The problem isn't a lack of water, the problem is the blockage. The practical action, therefore, is not to try and create a new river, It is to systematically remove the stones from the dam. Your nightly audio must include phrases of release and dissolution. I release all ancestral fear of wealth. I dissolve every program of unworthiness. I give myself permission to receive without effort. I am free from all guilt associated with money. You do not need to create abundance. You simply need to stop blocking it. This process of nocturnal reprogramming works because of a fundamental principle of your neurology. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined, emotionally charged experience and a physical, real-world event. This is the same mechanism that causes your heart to pound and your body to sweat during a nightmare. Your body reacts as if the danger is 100% real, even though you are safe in bed. We are simply hijacking this mechanism and using it for construction rather than fear. When you are in the theta state, absorbing commands like "you are wealthy," your brain begins to fire and wire new neural networks as if you are already wealthy. It generates the precise chemical signature, the emotions of gratitude, relief, and security that correspond to that reality. The brain, now believing this new reality to be true, must then try to resolve the dissonance between this internal state and your external world. It begins to build bridges. This is the synchronization with the real world. The practical action is to saturate your nighttime messages with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Use phrases that activate genuine gratitude and a sense of completion. You are so grateful for the massive abundance that is already present in your life. You feel secure, complete, and free. Your brain will then begin to filter your reality through this new lens, forcing you to perceive opportunities you were previously blind to. Saute in this context is simply your brain finally recognizing the signals that have always been there. This, however, requires a final, critical partnership. The reprogramming during the night is what prepares the fertile soil and makes the seed sprout. It tunes your perception. But you, the conscious self, must take the action in the physical world. Your subconscious will open the doors, but you must walk through them. After 7 to 10 nights of this consistent programming, you will begin to notice these coincidences or moments of synchronicity. You will receive an unexpected phone call for a project. You will feel a sudden, inexplicable urge to visit a specific place. You will have a creative idea that seems to come from nowhere. In the past, your old scarcity programming would have dismissed these as fantasy, too risky, or not for you. Now, your new programming will register them as opportunities. The practical action is simple but profound. When these signals appear, you must act on them immediately without hesitation or overanalysis. This is the crucial final step where the internal energetic shift translates into a material change. The subconscious reprogramming makes you aware of the opportunity. Your conscious action is what seizes it. This is the fundamental difference between those who merely dream of a new life and those who actually begin to live it. You have to honor the signals your newly aligned mind is sending you. This is how the invisible is made visible. I want you to picture this clearly. It's 11 p.m. You put your phone on airplane mode, put in your headphones, and press play on the audio track you've prepared. The lights go out. As you begin to drift, a calm, steady voice enters your mind, bypassing your usual anxieties about the workday or the bills. You are abundant. Money flows to you with ease. You release all guilt about receiving. Your conscious mind tries to argue for a moment, but it's too tired. It lets go. Your body relaxes deeply as your brainwaves slow, and for the next hour, these new commands sink unopposed, like stones dropping into a deep, still lake. You don't hear the rest. You are asleep. You wake up the next morning. You don't consciously remember the audio, but you feel different, calmer, less frantic. As you make your coffee, you open your email, and an old message you'd forgotten about is at the top of your inbox. It's an inquiry from a potential client you assumed had disappeared. Before, your scarcity-programmed mind would have hesitated, fearing rejection or planning to answer later. But today, something else is in charge. You feel no resistance. You reply immediately, confidently, and clearly stating your value. You don't second-guess the send button. You just act. 3 weeks later, you are looking at your bank account. That one client turned into 3, referred from the first. An idea for a new service, which came to you suddenly in the shower one morning, an idea you acted on, has just produced its first sale. You pause and look back, realizing that the avalanche of change, the tangible shift in your physical reality, didn't start with a dramatic event. It didn't start with a lottery win or an inheritance. It started when you changed the signal, that first night, in the dark, when you finally decided to stop arguing for your limitations and started programming your certainty. For years, you believed that prosperity was a battle to be won in the light. You equated effort with shouting your affirmations louder, pushing harder against the grain of your reality, and announcing your ambitions to the world, seeking validation as fuel. But this was just noise. It was the 5% conscious mind desperately arguing with the 95% subconscious program, and in doing so, only strengthening the very resistance it sought to overcome. The before was a state of constant, exhausting warfare against yourself. The after is the profound revelation that the victory is not won in the day, it is surrendered in the night. The transformation occurs when you stop trying to bust down the fortress gate and instead, silently, use the secret key, the Theta state, to walk right in. This is the turning point, the moment of absolute clarity. The psychic and emotional energy required to shift your physical reality is incredibly potent, but it is also volatile. When you keep your process secret, when you protect your nightly work and shield your first small wins from the eyes of the world, you are not hiding. You are incubating. You are building the necessary spiritual and neurological pressure for manifestation. The fatal mistake was always treating this fragile potential like a trophy, showing it off before the race was won, dissipating its power for a momentary hit of social validation. Here is the paradox. Your silence becomes your loudest command. It is the sealed vessel, the pressure cooker, that allows the alchemical transformation from thought to thing. You must now become the guardian of your own metamorphosis. You possess the 2 keys that were missing, the access point to the operating system, the Theta state, and the protection protocol to ensure the new code compiles. Strategic silence. You no longer need to hope for change. You now have the mechanism to authorize it. You stop begging the universe for scraps and start aligning your internal frequency to match the abundance that is already your default state. This is the ultimate shift from being a victim of your old programming to becoming the deliberate, conscious architect of your mind. This is not just a technique, it is a declaration of your power. It is the choice to operate from quiet certainty rather than noisy desperation. Repeat this with me as a commitment. I choose clarity. We have now dismantled the illusion. You came here looking for a way to activate prosperity, perhaps expecting a single magical phrase. Instead, you received the operating manual for your own mind. You now understand that your financial struggles were never a reflection of your worth, but the result of a faulty program running in the dark. You've learned that the Theta state is the undefended doorway to that program, that your subconscious only understands the language of is, not want. You have grasped the necessity of repetition to physically forge new neural pathways of wealth, and most critically, you understand that your silence is the very crucible in which this transformation is protected. You no longer have to fight your conscious battles. You have a precise, quiet, and profound protocol for victory. This is where the conversation ends and your real work begins. The power is not in this message. The power is in your application of it. The potential that has been dormant within you for decades is waiting for this precise instruction, this permission to awaken. You don't need to hope anymore. You only need to decide. Tonight, you have a choice. You can close this, return to the familiar noise of your old life, and allow the old programs to continue running the show. Or you can take this knowledge, embrace the discipline of silence, and begin the most important work of your life. Start tonight, one night. Do not tell a single soul. Let your results be the only proof. Then come back here in 30 days and witness what you have become.